Wow, that stool was a lot lower than I was expecting. I'm gonna switch over. There, that's much better. Okay, so in just a moment, Mr. Cote is going to come up and give the announcement you've all been waiting for, right? But before we move forward, Dave Lemaire is calling me. Should I answer? Right in the microphone. That's bad timing. I'm going to read this note from President Lay, so you guys can hear his heart in this situation. And then as soon as I'm finished with that, Mr. Cote, if you want to come up. This is from President Lay. He said this: as a faith community of believers in the Lord Jesus, our hope and rest is in Jehovah Jireh, our provider. Who our God is and what he has promised in Christ must guard our hearts and minds as we take the reasonable steps to deal with the impact of the virus that causes COVID-19. May we trust him and be encouraged to minister compassion and gospel truth during this time of testing. With this being our mindset, the ABC administration has compiled a plan of action for the remainder of the 2020 spring semester. In the days ahead, we may need to alter the plan with reasonable measures. Um, and what we're going to discuss today is the plan. But the attitude here is not an attitude of fear. It is an attitude of responsibility and moving forward in faith. And so the last thing we want is after this chapel today is everybody to run out of here freaking out, because that's not the attitude we need to have. That's what we're watching the world do, right? But we need to set the example in reasonableness and in faith in our Lord. And I think now is the time that example can be more contagious than this actual virus that's going around, the trust that we have in the Lord. So, Mr. Cote, would you come up, share some thoughts with us?
It's lower. Okay, so this is probably not much of a surprise to anyone, but in order to be compliant with local, state, and uh, national protocol as far as changes with this coronavirus and whatnot, what we're going to do until April 3rd is kind of our test period. We're just going to transition our courses to fully online. What that really means is that we're not going to meet here on campus for a class in order to um, help mitigate some of that spread, which is what the big concern is. So we'll meet online through a new Zoom um, portal that Mr. Olson will talk about briefly here. But so just understand this: we're not shutting down or closing or stopping school. We're just kind of transferring the mode of carrying out our academic courses. So you'll still have normal courses at the certain days and times as you usually do. It's just going to be online. Also, the dorms are going to stay open. They're not being shut down. You're not being forced to go home. If there is a student who feels deeply concerned about the safety and well-being of their situation at the dorms, they can come and talk to Brandon and I afterward. But the dorms will stay open. We're recommending, and maybe Brandon will talk about this, but we're recommending just staying away from large groups, which is kind of the federal mandate at this point. Groups groups no more than 10, I think, is what it is at this point. Um, so staying away from large groups is important, but still, yeah, what we're doing right now is forbidden. We're here to tell you that you shouldn't do. Yeah, we're here to tell you you shouldn't be doing what we're doing. That's the problem. Yeah. Anyway, so that's the big announcement. Just the migration to a purely online format through April 3rd. At the end of that time, we're going to reassess the situation, see if things are getting worse or better, and then we'll make a further determination as to, are we going to continue to be online or are we going to come back to normal class? Um, so again, this is not fear talk. We're just transferring course management to online. Um, if you're going to be in need of books and things like that, you can set up some of that directly with Noel, um, as a case by case appointment. Um, for dorm students, for food, there is a solution to that. It's going to be a mix of delivered meals as well as gift cards to purchase some of your own food. So that's all going to be taken care of. So we're not shutting down the dorms. Everybody, in fact, we encourage you guys to stay in the dorms because it's probably a healthy situation rather than, say, going back toward other populous areas, especially if you have to fly out. I mean, I don't think you want to go through Seattle at this point, to be honest. Um, so, anyways, we will, when we're done here, have some open Q&A. So if you guys are thinking of questions as we're going along, save those for after Mr. Olson and Brandon are done. So at this point, just so you're getting a better understanding of how the online format's going to work, I'm going to hand it over to Mr. Olson. He's going to show you guys how that works. Do you want to sanitize?
I'm good. I'm good. It just demonstrates the opposite nature of Mr. Cote and myself. Anyway, um, so here's how it's going to work moving forward. We're going to the next 3 days of classes, Tuesday, when to the rest of the day today, Wednesday and Thursday, we're actually going to cancel those classes. So your classes today, Wednesday and Thursday, you're not going to meet together. Okay, so maybe an extended spring break for some of you. Uh, that those class periods will be made up during the missions conference week, which obviously at this point is going to be canceled. Which also includes, and maybe Brandon would like to speak to this as well. Obviously, the basketball tournament and all those other large gathering events are going to be canceled moving forward. We've not yet made, as Mr. Cote said, we're going to reassess everything on April 3rd. That's beyond the 15-day window that the president has put forward for these regulations. And so we've not made any assertions as to commencement or graduation ceremonies or anything like that. But chapels will be canceled moving forward. The building itself will actually be closed here. If you do need access to the library, Noel is going to be available at times. It's not like the building itself is not contaminated. It's not like we need to evacuate the building or anything. And so there very well may be someone here at various times during the workday. We'll still have mail delivered here, that kind of thing. I still have a dissertation to do. It doesn't matter if it's an online thing anyway. Yes. Hmm. Yes. Right. Yep. So, um, so let me show you just really quickly how this is going to work in Populi. I'm going to be the reason why we're canceling the next 3 days of classes is so that I can work with the faculty to help get them up to speed on how to work this in Populi. It's very simple once it's set up. In fact, everything on the back end is completely set up. It's just the faculty members need to activate the conferences to schedule times with Zoom. So how many of you are familiar with Zoom? Okay, just a couple, not too many. Zoom is an online video conferencing software, um, much like Blackboard or some of those others that other colleges are using. It's actually one of the more popular ones. Very, very easy to use. Honestly, Frank, would it matter which one we used? so so I'm just going to quickly demonstrate just kind of a little bit of how this might work. So I'm going to move back there to man the machine, if that's all right. I've got my Populi account open, so you can all see what alerts I have as to which courses I've not graded papers in yet. So I'll navigate here to Romans. Over on this side, I'm not really sure how to zoom in on the screen here, but over here on the side, you'll see a new tab that's now called conferences. It's right underneath the discussion board. Is there a zoom on the keyboard? Oh, ooh, yeah, but that just regular zooms. How do I increase the size of this? There we go. That's what I'm talking about. There we go. All right. So so you can see over here on the left, right underneath discussions, it now says conferences. That wasn't there yesterday. Where it says conferences, you can click on that. Hopefully, there we go. All right. Oh, it opened up in a new window. So what you'll see are those. Oh, why is that not over there? Oh, I got to go way over there. Okay. Oh, just single click. Okay. How do I exit out of this window? Anywhere else on the screen? Oh, like that. You can tell I am so not used to. No, 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 that didn't work either. I'm probably just opening multiple windows. Just click on it. How do I click on it without opening its own window? There we go. All right. All right. Who knew that I needed to be taught how to use a mouse? That's not even a mouse. Right. So I've got a chapel test here where it says start conference. I believe on the student side, it'll say join conference. Obviously, for the professor, it'll say start. Uh, the reason why we're using this machine is because it's not yet been set up for Zoom, and I want to walk you through how to get the Zoom downloaded and installed on your computer. So if I click on Start Conference, it's going to open up something weird. That's not right. Uh-oh. All right. What if I let somebody else do this? All right. And then join conference up there at the top. Actually, I'll just step up here and then I'll let you click. There we go. So go ahead and join conference, and it probably popped up on another. You have to do the pop-up blocker. It probably popped up at the top there. There's a secondary window next to the AK Bible Popular Web. Up in the URL bar, yeah. I only know that because I watched Cote do that yesterday. Yeah. All right. So this is Zoom, and it should take you directly to the link. Obviously, it'll open in a new window. So if you do have pop-ups blocked, be sure to check that there. Okay, it's right there. It says click on the icon to start the download of the software there. So up in the right-hand corner, go ahead and download the software. Should. Uh-oh. Oh, there's a dialog box in the other window. We obviously are working with multiple screens here, so go ahead and install the software. And that should, for those of you who are using Macs, if you're using Safari, Zoom should download it and install as an add-on to Safari. If you're using Chrome, it does the same thing. If you're using Chrome window, I believe there's also an option for Windows users and for Mac users to install the full program on your computer. It should just be a quick. I mean, what you'll see is just click through. Okay, okay, okay is pretty much what you have to do. Okay. All right. Now go back to the. All right, you're now downloaded. So go back to the Populi window and click on Join Conference again. All right, go ahead and allow. Popped up on another window. Okay, yeah, all right. Prompt that says join the meeting. So go ahead and join the meeting. Again, it should just go click right through. if it asks you to start a new account, use your akbible.edu email address. Sign in through Google. All right, that's what gives you access to that meeting. If you sign up with an account with your own, that's not in our domain, and so it may not it may start like charging you or something. I don't know. You may not have access to the meeting. So use your akbible.edu email address to start the meeting. This is the meeting. I'm just going to bring you to this window because there's a lot of tools there, and once you get on with your professor, you'll be prompted to do various things. Uh, just really quickly for etiquette on for if you've never done a video conferencing type of situation before, if you've never had a class like that, etiquette is that if you are a participant and not a presenter, that you mute your microphone. You will need a computer with a camera and a microphone. Okay, you do need to have your video active. The teacher needs to be able to see your face. Yes. 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 Right. Yeah. So most of you have a smartphone. You can log in directly through your smartphone. In fact, that may be the easiest way to do it. Just understand that if you've got that there, anytime you move the phone, it goes all wibbly wobbly on the screen, and you might get a couple people get motion sick just watching you go like this through the building. But if you've done FaceTime, you know how that works. Um, so yeah, you will need your video active. You will need the audio active. But just as etiquette is, if you are a participant and not a presenter, hit mute on yours until if you like to ask a question. I believe there's places in there where you can raise your hand. You can start a chat. You can start a sidebar chat. All those kind of things. All those features are there. Just follow your professor's lead, what they ask you to do or what they would like for you to do. This is going to be a major learning curve for everybody, and we understand that during this time because we know there's going to be difficulties. We need to have extra measure of patience with one another. We need to have understand that you might not have the start times and end times might be just slightly variant because of technical difficulties, all of that. I will be available pretty much around the clock. So if your class is starting, you can't get in, call me. All right. My phone number is right there in Populi, my cell phone number. Most of you have it already. Call me. I will see if I can walk you through it. If you have a Mac, you can email Professor Cote. He's obviously a lot better with those kind of things. We're going to trust that you guys as students are probably going to be not the problem. All right, as far as the technology is concerned. Now, I'm not looking at Frank. I'm really not. I'm doing my best. Yeah, right. So, but I will be available during that time. A lot of this time, I very well may be actually here on campus, but don't come to the school to try to find me. Just contact me via cell phone. Also, just so you understand, and this is being recorded. Everybody that's watching this on YouTube, and we'll post this link to all the rest of the students later for this chapel service. Attendance is still required. All right, we're not canceling classes except for these next 3 days. You are still required to do all of the homework. You are still required to, even though the class is going to be in an online session. All right, you're still going to need to log in, and your login is for that. Now, there are some classes that are going to function a little differently because Zoom is not necessarily designed for it, like the math class. For those of you who are in math this afternoon, Helen Foster will be getting in touch with you to figure out how to, because she has other online techniques that she uses with Matsu. I've authorized her to not have to use the Zoom, and as well as a couple of others. I think John Meropoulos with Greek, since there's only one student in there. Just work with your professors. They'll be in contact with you. But for the most part, you're going to be using this Zoom technology to get into those classes. Okay. Um, yes. Yes, Friday. We do have classes Friday. If by chance the professors of those classes are not ready by Friday to have that class, that's okay. That class will just have to go through Good Friday. Okay, because that class normally would have a week off for Good Friday. That's still coming up. So that if by chance that we're the hope is that the classes will be ready to go by Friday, but if not, that class can continue to resume through Good Friday. Okay. Any other questions? Let's. Do we want to open up for questions now? Do you have anything to add? Sure. You want me to just hold it for you?
You notice, I don't know if you caught it, but I sure did. Olson had to slip in something about his dissertation during that whole ordeal. So just to reemphasize a couple things, throughout this season, all student activities will be canceled. So just be aware of that. We're going to be moving forward in trying to figure out ways to develop some low key outdoors activities for dorm students and those even outside of dorms. So it's really important that you stay connected to your email throughout this process. All communications are going to be coming to you through that way. You're welcome to send questions to myself, to Mr. Olson, to Mr. Cote, and we'll respond to you as quickly as possible. But know that our priority number one is to keep you all informed about our game plan and what's going to be going on. But we're also going to be doing our best to keep community going. And so there may be, I'm working with Cameron and Delaney and trying to figure out ways maybe to send you guys video devotionals to just stay in touch with all of you through different things. So it's just really key that you stay involved with your email throughout this process. Um, Also to emphasize, like Mr. Olson said, there will be no classes today, tomorrow, or Thursday. But when the normal schedule picks back up, it's just going to be that, the normal schedule. So don't think that schedules are changing. Don't think that you're allowed to skip classes now or miss classes now. Attendance is still required. You need to be intentional in reminding yourself that you're still a full-time student at ABC, or a part-time if you're part-time, but your student status hasn't changed. We're moving forward with things as normal via online. Um, what else? What else? What else? What else? Um, just a quick moment on emphasizing our dorm atmosphere. Um, Obviously, what's the word? Sanitization. Is that the right way to say it? Sanitization is of the utmost importance to us there. So we are encouraging that you guys practice quote unquote social distancing, that you do your best in um, all the common hygiene stuff that we've been discussing here. Keep washing your hands, keep using hand sanitizer, normal bathing. All those things are super important during this time, which you all know, of course, but just be intentional in that environment. Okay. We're not, like I've said before, we're not trying to cause fear. We don't want you to be worried. We're not worried. In all honesty, the dorms are one of the safest places for you to be as a dorm student. Yeah.
Really, just for those dorm students, I'm not going to try to sound like your mom, but do understand this, that one of the things that heightens your risk of COVID-19 is extreme fatigue. And so sleep patterns are important. Making sure that you get plenty of rest, making sure that you're eating properly, right? Drinking plenty of fluids, all of those kind of things are equally as important as hand washing and evidently toilet. Oh no.
There's plenty of trees in the backyard. You're okay. Um, to re-emphasize what Mr. Olson said, for those watching, it's really important to set a sleep schedule, to eat well during this time. All those things will help you stay suitable against the virus during this time. Um, but I want to personally just ask our dorm students to please stay. It's vital for the atmosphere in our dorm culture. It's vital for our other dorm students that we stay in community during this time, that we stay positive, that we stay joyful, and that we don't fear and we don't kind of bust out of the state during this time. The safest thing for us to do, especially for our dorm students, is to avoid airports, is to avoid travel, and to stay where we're at and kind of rest in that for a season. But like Cote said, if you have questions on that, or if you want to request leaving to go somewhere else, please come talk to us privately after chapel today. I think that's it. You want to open for Q&A? Yeah. You guys have any questions? Yeah, Delaney. Well, you'll be. How would you like students to use their potential gift cards? I'll just let you answer that. You can touch it. Wash your hands after.
Yeah, obviously the gift card will be in an amount equal to the remaining meals you would have for dinner between now and April 3rd. Lunches will be delivered hot and ready to eat at the dorm. So the gift card you guys have, how you use that, you need to remember that it's for food. So if you go out and buy a Nintendo Switch and then you go hungry, that's your fault, not ours. Okay. Okay. But as far as how you use it, like, if say you guys all wanted to kind of put in together and make a big meal together or something like that, if you wanted to do that, you guys just kind of figure out, well, who gets all the food for this night, who gets all the food for that night, or if you guys are just doing separate things, you figure out what you want to do separately. Does that answer your question, Delaney, or do you have a follow up on that? No?
If you do decide to do anything corporately, just remember that there are people with dietary restrictions and things like that. I'm sure those who are in charge of that.
It may be smart too, as dorm students, maybe per day or whatever it is. But if you all are wanting to go out to eat to the same place, maybe just consider sending one person out rather than the whole group going out.
Anchorage has already closed dining rooms for restaurants. A lot of restaurants here
Yeah.
in the valley are also following suit with that. So it may be that you won't be able to go out to eat.
Mhm.
But yeah, if somebody wants to go out and pick some food up,
Even from Fred's or something, just to be thinking about that.
Or have DoorDash deliver it directly to your door.
Is that what you were gonna say? Do you do it? AKA call me and pay me and I'll come.
Either Egg or Shrimpling or Food, Brian will be delivering it to your door.
And think about food.
It might be in class.
Think about food planning as well. Don't go out every night to go get your dinner food at Fred's.
Budget it out.
Plan the whole week.
Right.
So you have food for the evening. You don't have to keep going out. That's just increases your risk.
And what we're going to do is we're going to give towards just up to April 3rd. And so the amount will be up to April 3rd. And after that, after we reassess, then if we do continue on having only online and we haven't resumed classes or the meal plan here, then we'll reassess how much for the remainder of the semester we need to give out.
Any others? Yeah, Jason. Good word. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. So all scheduled class times are going to remain the same. Whatever time you're scheduled to be here for class. Is that good? is what time you'll be scheduled to be on a Zoom call. So the schedule isn't changing except for these next 3 days.
Also, for a second here. Also, for all of you, stay in contact with your mentor throughout this. If they forget, give them a call. Talk to them on the phone. We're not, because this is not quarantine. Don't think of this as quarantine. Okay, that's not been the mandate. The mandate is no groups of 10 or more together, which means that if you want to get together with your mentor, if you want to hang out at some point, go out for coffee, or as the weather gets better, take a hike, or whatever. That just please maintain contact with your mentor, as your CMT requirements will also remain the same. Although for those of you who are doing ministry at churches, obviously if you're church cancels services, then obviously that would make a difference there.
Come on now. Oh, yeah. The chess championship. Yes. Yeah, yeah, you can. Yeah.
I think there's an app for that.
There's lots of that.
If Cote wants to set that up.
There's enough interest outside of
Rachel, yeah.
Yeah, everything was going to will be pushed forward a week. So, and I'll be communicating that with the faculty. I've already sent an email to the faculty with this information, and so yeah, anything that was due this week will be due next week. Yeah, you'll for those of you who are in ITS, that's another one where you'll be working individually with Mr. Bates because you're already basically working individually with him for that. If we do remain closed throughout the semester, he'll have to. I'll be working with Mr. Bates as to how he modifies your presentations of your papers. Right. Well, right. Well, your participation in CMT is obviously based upon whether or not your church is open. So if your church closes, don't try to tell Mr. Bates that your church is closed if it's not. Though that's just not right.
It'll just move back 1 week, like Mr. Olson said. So next Wednesday morning. Which means you have an extra week for chapter 5 and 6. Which I think you'll enjoy. The extra time there.
The extra time. Oh,
hopefully you'll enjoy the chapter.
Probably not the chapters, but
Chapter 6 is a little hard.
Any other questions?
Well, I was suggesting,
Yeah.
I'm students with that concern, like if there's other family members around or vagabonds for now, they're open still. Fred Meyer says the little cafes, they have Wi-Fi in there. I don't know what
Yeah,
else to say.
if there are any people that have that concern, come and talk to me about it afterwards because I might have another.
Especially at 6 to 9 o'clock.
if that's a fear, it doesn't hurt to get in touch with your professor as soon as possible. Everyone's going to try to work with you as much as they can throughout the season, so it doesn't hurt to over communicate.
All right. So if you need to do your class at Starbucks at Cars, make sure you buy some coffee from Eugene. Any other questions?
I think no other questions, right? We're good to keep moving. Okay. You'll get an email with most of this information pretty close immediately after following chapel. And then as Mr. Olson has said, he'll be in touch with you with a detailed email on how to access online courses and schedule if there's any schedule shifts, and all those academic details will be answered in that email. So I can't emphasize enough, just stay connected to your email through this process. That'll be super important. In a moment, I'm going to ask your student body president, Cameron, just to come up and close us in prayer. But before we do that, I just want to read one more thought. Um, one more thought to you, because it is hyper important that we don't react in hysteria and fear throughout this whole process. Our hope and our heart in this meeting is to breathe life and hope, not fear. We all know that in 2 Timothy 1:7, Paul wrote, "For God has not given us a spirit of fear or timidity, but of power, love, and self-discipline." Together we have faith to receive everything that God has promised to us by his word. We will continue to experience a safe, wonderful, life-filled atmosphere here in our community of Palmer, and we look forward to continuing on this journey with each one of you. And to emphasize again, as things progress, as the admin sits back down together on April 3rd and discusses what our future will look like, you will be informed. Okay, you'll be informed as much as possible throughout this whole journey. Uh, Cameron, will you come up and just close us in prayer? Could we stand together and pray? No.
Let's pray. Lord, I thank you that we can know you and be in relationship with you, and in times like this that we can depend and rely on you to protect us and to keep us going. Um, so Lord, I pray that we would just have peace in this time. I pray against the fear and the panic, Lord. That the rest of the world is doing, Lord. I pray that we would be lights for um, representing your character. And I pray that we would have peace knowing that um, we're not reacting out of fear in what the school is doing, but we are doing what is appropriate for the good of everyone, Lord, just to slow the spread of this disease, to not overwhelm medical facilities, Lord, so that everyone can get the treatment that they need in the event that they get it. So Lord, I pray that you would just continue to give us peace in knowing that. I thank you for the technological advancements that we can continue having classes, Lord, and I pray that our uh, our academic pursuits would not be hindered too much. That we would continue to be diligent in that, and seeking to know more of your word and to grow as people in education. Um, I just want to ask for your blessing as we continue to do um, what is best and seek to follow you and love one another, Lord, and love our communities. So please just keep us sensitive to what you would have us do, and give us your eyes to see, to do as you would do. So Lord, I just pray all these things in your name, in Jesus. Amen.
Thank you so much for being intentional and being here today. Like I said, if you have questions, come find me. Come find Mr. Olson. Come find Mr. Cote. We'd love to answer those for you. Correct me if I'm wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong, but there is lunch today, and then campus will close following lunch, correct? All right, so be aware of that. Thank you so much. You're dismissed.